What's up, fam? Welcome back to the We Are Just Dating page. If you're new here, my name is Tim. This is my beautiful wife, Pauline, and you're tuned in to the W podcast, where you can get wisdom in a word with the Wheelers.
Hey.
Yes, so if you don't know, our whole goal here is for you to gain perspective on what it looks like to have a healthy, godly relationship. One that's fun, one that's not boring, and one that can move you forward, hopefully closer to marriage or closer to realizing they ain't it. So we're excited for you to tune in today. We got a great question talking about being too old to find somebody.
TikTok.
Is my time going to come up? We're going to get into it.
How to wait.
Yeah, it's really good. But before that, we like to start our Would You Rather question, just so I can get to know our personalities a little bit more.
I'm fun. More fun than him.
Okay, I don't know about that. All right, but let's get into it. So the Would You Rather question is, would you rather have unlimited battery life? Unlimited battery life on all your devices, or would you rather have free Wi-Fi wherever you go? Unlimited Wi-Fi wherever you go.
Well, Wi-Fi these days is pretty readily accessible.
It's not unlimited, though.
What do you mean unlimited? What is unlimited?
I don't know. To me, when I read this, so first of all, we have unlimited Wi-Fi on our phone plan. So that's probably why you don't really...
What's limited Wi-Fi?
Oh, we don't have unlimited Wi-Fi. We have unlimited service. So just think about, there's sometimes you go some places and you don't have phone service and you need Wi-Fi to connect.
Okay.
Or if you have a laptop, a lot of y'all working from home right now, you're going to need somewhere. But it's your turn. I'm not trying to pitch mine.
I want to know what I'm choosing. So maybe...
Unlimited Wi-Fi.
No. I don't know what my options are, so I don't know what unlimited... Because to me, unlimited Wi-Fi is like...
Wi-Fi
whenever I go to Starbucks...
Okay, let's just say Wi-Fi wherever you go.
Yeah, we already have that. You go to Starbucks
and then
the little thing pops up and says, do you want to join?
Go ahead and be in the middle of Montana. See if you got Wi-Fi.
When do I go to Montana?
I don't know, but just see if you have Wi-Fi.
We live in a highly populated area.
No, you don't have Wi-Fi wherever you go. You sitting in a random parking lot. You don't have Wi-Fi.
Anyway.
So what are you choosing?
So this is basically like a hotspot.
What are you choosing? Sure. What are you choosing?
Do you guys feel bad for Tim whenever... This is like real life stuff. I have a lot of questions I want to understand. I guess I would choose Wi-Fi because my phone is almost never... I don't really have battery problems. My phone's like never dead. But, yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I agree. I'm going with the unlimited Wi-Fi because I remember this don't matter no more, but I remember being in school. I wish I would have had unlimited Wi-Fi.
School, like college?
No, like high school. Like the Wi-Fi.
Times are so different.
I know.
There was no Instagram.
Wi-Fi wasn't even really like popping like that.
Yeah.
But
it was more expensive.
Still, I wish I had what it is now because some of y'all remember you in public school and they got restricted Wi-Fi, so you get on there, you can only go.
That's the only time
you
feel
can only
it's
use.
valuable.
Yeah, you can only use like the.
Or if you had a hotspot.
Yeah,
some of those rare kids.
You can only use like the school library page or something like that. Like you can't go on ESPN or anything like that.
ESPN1.net.
So I would have used the free Wi-Fi. You can tell.
If you were in high school,
I wasn't the greatest high school
9
student.
years ago.
So I would definitely choose Wi-Fi, but we're gonna.
And you would still have that same answer right now.
Yeah, unlimited Wi-Fi, because battery life, I can take a charger and be good, but you don't always have Wi-Fi.
That's the problem with finding a wall plug or not.
No, they have little things. I have a thing. I don't even need a wall plug. I gotta just plug my.
You keep that
charger
in your wallet
there.
every day.
I can keep it wherever I go. Always strapped when I hit the club. All right. Anyway, praise God, I'm safe. All right. So. Oh, so many ways I could go. So let's just get into the question. So this week's question, do you read it, right?
Yeah.
All right, because I was about to go. I'm ready. I'm ready for this question.
Yes.
Also, before we go, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like this video for us. That helps all the time. And if you're listening on podcast, leave us a 5-star review. And make sure y'all share this.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. So this is the question today about time and being how to wait with hope. So the question reads, hi, I'm a single 37-year-old woman who hasn't been on a date or in a relationship in over 10 years. We were just talking about high school. This year will be my 10-year anniversary. Would you say that? I'm graduating from high school.
Are you young?
Amen. Anyway, not to make anybody feel old or young, someone might think that I'm young. But anyway, I was in a relationship prior to that 10-year mark for many years where the guy just didn't want to commit. Shout out to you for breaking up with him. Yeah, for cutting ties. It caused me a lot of pain, even depression, when I ended it. However, in that 10-year span, I rededicated my life to God, found an awesome church and community, and served faithfully in our kids program. I'm back to living a healthy lifestyle, mentally and physically. My struggle is no guy has pursued or asked me out. I'm out and about everywhere. Not a hermit, lol. She said, that's important. Don't be a hermit. Hermit crabs don't get married. I've had opportunities to meet guys in the church, but no single guys. Most of the guys are not even out of college. So a little on the young side for her. I've also done online dating apps, but most of those guys are not followers of Christ. I later find out and are looking for something casual. Yeah, bye, lol. That's what she said. How do you stay the path of trusting God when everyone around you is like, oh, you're such a smart, pretty, funny girl? If that was the case, wouldn't a guy notice? I know God has a plan, but it's just hard. Thanks.
So essentially, her question is, how do you keep the faith in God that he's going to provide a husband, but at the same time, it's been a long time since anybody's even pursued you?
Yeah, because I also hear in the story, or in this question, just what the context is like, maybe a little bit of like insecurity of like, is there something wrong with me that nobody's asked me out on a date even in 10 years? Yeah, and I'm kind of doing everything that everyone says I should do as far as like being available and serving and all those things. So is there something wrong with me? Because she's saying, why isn't the guy noticing me? And I trust God. And I love this question because it's very honest and very real. Like, yeah, I trust God, but like, God, where are you? And like,
where you at?
Yeah, and I've been doing everything I've been doing because I'm not gonna like 10 years is a significant amount of time, and I would definitely feel this way. T-Mobile,
Boost Mobile, where you at? All right, anyway,
you all cut up in this Wi-Fi cell phone conversation stuff.
25 and older, catch that. All right, so let me go. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna sit here.
Well, first of all, let's say thank you for your question.
Well, you don't know what I was about to say. I can say first of all,
you didn't.
I thank you.
Anyway.
But for real, thank you for the question. Thank you seriously for trusting us.
Yeah.
To give you some type of perspective. So what I was going to say is, I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I can relate to what it's like for a woman to wait, because I get that it feels different. But I will say,
guys have this problem.
Yeah, but I will say there are some guys who do have the same feeling like, yo, I'm never going to get married. I don't see any women that I want to pursue. So some guys do have that. I'm just putting that out there. But I don't think there is an answer per se to the question. I just want to encourage you and tell you that if you are really out here and doing different things, that you're doing all you can do, and I salute you. And it's not you. Like, I'm sure you are beautiful. I'm sure you are smart, intelligent, all those things. And it has nothing to do with it. Sadly, and I learned this the hard way a couple years ago, but sadly, sometimes when it's not God's timing for something in our life, it just ain't going to happen. And we have to get to a point where, and this isn't just about dating anymore, this is just in general, but we have to get to a point in our lives where we trust God so much that even when we really want something, and he doesn't give it to us, we have to trust that it's for our good. Because I start thinking about the verse that says, no good thing will he withhold from you. Yeah. So if he won't withhold anything from me, it must mean that whatever I want right now isn't good for me. Yeah. For whatever reason. And that sucks, because it's like, God, what you mean a husband wouldn't be good for me right now? Or what do you mean a new job wouldn't be good for me? I feel like it'd be good, but we have to remember that God sees what we don't see. Yeah. Like right now, we can only see what will be good in the moment. God sees, okay, what would it be like for you to have this thing 2 years from now? And he sees all of that we don't see. Well, yeah, because you get into God's good, pleasing, and then perfect will. So there's levels to it. Yeah, so we just have to remember that God sees what we don't see, and we have to trust. And it gets hard, right? Like, it's hard to trust somebody, and that's just all part of us growing in our relationship with God and going to new levels of trust with him. But I'll start there. I'll just say it is tough. We've all been there. I'm sure you have other areas in your life where you wanted God to do something and you feel like he didn't come through, but then maybe a couple years later, maybe 6 months later, you realize, you know what, God, I'm actually glad that you didn't do it when you did, because I wasn't ready. Because here's the thing, it may not be you. It may be your future husband, that he is not ready for you right now. Your future husband, when you meet him, he's going to be great. He's going to be awesome. He's going to have a bunch of money. He's going to have whatever you want.
Amen.
But right now, if you met him, he's broke as a joke. He's immature. Like, we just don't know what God is doing in the background.
The cake is still baking.
Yeah, so it all comes down to trust, and that is not easy. That sounds pie in the sky, but that's the best we can give you. That's what faith is, right? Faith is the unknown.
Right. Yeah.
What would you say?
A lot of good things.
You're a woman.
A lot of good things, yeah. And this is a conversation that I get to have with a lot of my friends, because they are waiting to get married. I have a lot of single friends, and I love them, and they're literally very much like how you described, like top tier women, like would make great wives, would make great
fine
mothers.
Girl, no pimple. You feel me?
Right, if you know what that means, which I don't, so whatever. But yeah, so especially this is a big thing amongst women of color, which I don't know if that's what you are, but just kind of waiting for husband, feeling like there's not enough guys, feeling like you're forgotten about, honestly, by God, and at the same time, of course, celebrating other people, which I definitely encourage you to do if you do have friends that are getting married, getting relationships, celebrating them, learning from them, all that, kind of thing, and not isolating yourself. But just like Tim said, this is really a waiting game, and we're all waiting on God for something.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard a quote that I'm going to butcher because I don't remember it exactly where I heard it, but it's something about, well, you butchered one last week.
Why so you bringing up old stuff?
Go back and watch that if you didn't. But it's something along the lines of, waiting is the only consistent, action that we're doing in our lives. And we're all waiting, for something. And if you're not waiting on God, then, your faith is probably in shambles, because we need to be expectant. But yeah, so I think that, just number one, don't beat yourself up about it, and know that, like, this is kind of par for the course as far as waiting. Like, either you're waiting for a husband, waiting for a new job, like Tim said, waiting to
get pregnant.
Yeah, waiting for healing, waiting for some
a house.
Like relationship restoration. Like, how we wait matters, and how we wait is very is a test in and of itself. Because a lot of times we say, like, God, I'll do this for you if you do this for me. So even for you talking about, like, oh, I serve a church and I have godly community and things like that, and that's awesome. But recognizing that those things are not a means to an end of, like, oh, I'm doing this to get something from God, which I don't think you are. But all that to say, like, keep waiting well. Like, God rewards those who diligently seek Him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just add something? So also, just to your point about, like, no guys noticing you, realize that if you really are doing everything that you said you are, it's not you, most likely. And you could always ask your friends, like, do y'all think I'm doing something, whatever. But it most likely isn't you. If God really doesn't want you to be in a relationship in this season, He's going to hide you.
Right.
Honestly, me and Pauline knew each other for a while before we started dating. We had no interest in each other. There was no interest until God opened our eyes and took the veil off. And it's like, oh, like, you is kind of cute, and we do have similar interests. But trust me, we knew each other for a year and a half, close to 2, before we ever were interested in each other. So There may be somebody right now who y'all don't have interest in each other, but when it's God's timing, that veil comes off and it's a wrap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. And just to add on to that, if it is true about, like, you're doing everything right and everything's your great catch and all those different things, I'd also be curious to know, like, who's giving you that feedback. Not to say that they're lying or anything like that, but, like, sometimes our friends, like...
It can't be their mama.
Yeah,
girl,
exactly.
You the best, girl.
Sometimes our friends gas us up, but it's like, they aren't the ones who we're trying to attract, because let's be honest, men and women are very different. So, like, I may say to my friends, like, oh, wow, like, you look so pretty, or this, that, and then Tim might say, like, tell your girl to chill out, because, guys are going to look at her this way and that way, and I was like, oh, I never thought of it that way, and that's why it's always
hypothetical.
Yeah, this is hypothetical.
I don't need nobody calling me.
No. But yeah, I think, like, you said you're in church and serving and things like that, and that's awesome. Maybe even try online dating, which, we've heard people have success with that.
Somebody asked us a question about that. We should maybe get to that next week.
Maybe.
They asked that for a while.
But yeah, I think that of finding a date is a lot like getting a job interview.
I thought you were going to say Finding Nemo.
Love that movie, but no. Yeah, so getting a date is a lot like getting a job interview. You need referrals. And you should use your network just like you do to look for a job. And it sounds like you know that already. You're saying like, I'm serving, I'm in godly community, I make myself available. But Tim mentioned a little bit about our story, and I know that everyone's story is like this, and by no means is our story like an example, but I do want to give it to you as proof. Because you said that, you have a lot of friends that are like guy friends. I think she mentioned that. She said she has guy friends, but they're just not available. Like they're either in relationships or married. I would use those guys to find other guys, to be honest. I would see what friends they have, what cousins they have, like invite me to your, Memorial Day cookout next month, like that, like you want to be close to them because you want them to be able to say like, hey, my friend from around the way that, I have a girl that you should meet. But if you're not around them, guys are very much out of sight, out of mind. So don't write off your guy friends because they're in a relationship now or they're recently married. Like, become friends with their spouse or with their girlfriend, of course, out of respect. But you need referrals. Like, Tim and I, like you said, we were in each other's space. We went to the same church, went to the same school. But I would not have looked at him if someone would give me a recommendation, and the same thing for him.
I know. When you first said that, I was like, referrals? But then I was like, well, you did get a referral. So
right. So, and it's not enough to be around people sometimes.
And here's the thing. When you first start getting referrals, you may think your friends are crazy for referring them. Because honestly, we both thought that.
But it's just a date.
We both thought
marriage.
We were like, I was like Pauline. She was like Tim.
Yes.
But, God knew. So that could be something for you.
Yes. So that's what I would say to that, because a lot of girls, of course, like want to go on dates and want to become a wife. The number one thing that men, well, not number one, but one of the top things that men need in a relationship, and that will honestly convert you from being a girlfriend to a fiance and then to a wife, is being a man's best friend, being a hot best friend, but still being a best friend. Am I wrong?
Wow. I mean, well, yeah.
Yeah. So that means being able to have conversations with men about things that they like. So like sports. And I know like I chose to start watching Undisputed when Tim and I got together, because that's one thing that he watches every single day. He loves Skip and Shannon. He loves sports. And a lot of you women or a lot of guys out there, they're in the same boat. They love sports, but some guys love fishing. Some guys like, I don't know, anime or like other things. Like, so, and I'm not saying like, if you have a crush on a guy, like you should stalk his favorite hobbies, but just in general, you should have an idea of like what guys like and what they like to talk about. So when you are at those cookouts and you are trying to put yourself out there, like being at the cookout and holding a drink and looking cute is not enough. You have to be able to have a conversation. Like a guy needs to be able to look at you and be like, I want to hang out with her more. She made me laugh, or she laughed at my jokes, or like whatever the case is. But you can't do those things if you don't know the latest joke about, Kevin Durant getting fined for being a silly person. You know what I mean? Like if you don't know the latest memes and you don't know what they mean, like a guy's you're not gonna stand out and be memorable. And this is me obviously kind of stepping on a limb because the person who asked this question, I don't know. Maybe you already watch Undisputed. Maybe you already know about,
right, and don't get caught up on the sports thing. Like it doesn't have to be sports. Just making sure that you know different things. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be before, because you may be like, I don't know where to start. Who knows? But once you start identifying, okay, this guy's interesting, just pay attention to what they say.
Right, but even now, like, start in general. Like, Tim and I have had conversations.
But I'm saying not every guy likes sports, so I just don't want her to get
right. But I feel like if you have to shoot in the dark, sports, I feel like 80% of the guys in the world like sports to some degree. Some people like video games. I don't know, but just start somewhere, and then you can change it and alter it as you continue to to get to know somebody. But that's you being prepared and like, anticipating having a good conversation. Because I think, again, a lot of women are like, oh, I'm available, I'm putting myself out there. And it's like, well, what does that even really mean? Like, you showing up to an event, there's a lot of women at an event. Like, what's going to make you stand out? And a lot of it is having a good conversation and a guy being able to walk away saying, I had a good conversation with her. I want the conversation to continue. It's not just about looking good. That's not what makes a wife. It helps. Yes, you need to be able to catch his eye and be attractive, of course. So keep doing those things. But and I'm saying this because these are things that other women don't know. These are things that I learned from talking to guys. And a lot of women, like, if you don't have a brother or you don't have good guy friends, that's what I'm saying for you. Be around your guy friends. The ones that you mentioned are not available to you. Still be around them. Learn how to be a friend to a guy, because that's what is going to happen. When you're blessed to be married, you're going to be his best friend, and you need to, learn how to connect with him in that way.
Yeah. But all of that being said, back to our original points, you can do all of that, and if it ain't God's time,
yes, of course. But we did want to give you some
because
practical things
just
too.
A funny personal story about. But I have a great job now, but before that, my job wasn't so great, and I was really trying to find a new job. And I remember applying to a job, and I actually drove Pauline into this craziness. We ended up going to that job site and driving around the job 7 times. This job gonna come down like Jericho, and we gonna fall, and we gonna shout, and nothing happened. I got rejected because it wasn't God's timing or it wasn't God's will. So don't be like me and get so caught up on the spiritual side that you just be like, you don't realize that it's just not God's timing, and that is what it is. Our pastor says that the longer something takes to come to you, the better it is.
Yeah. So
just think about it that way. If that is helpful for you, it's like, you know what, God, he ain't here yet. That means he gonna be real good. That means he gonna be better than I ever asked, thought, or imagined. Amen. Come on, Bible.
And some other things that you mentioned in the question, or that she mentioned, the question that I want to address, like, a lot of women have this issue with church guys, and I think you do need to talk to your friends over there.
I didn't talk to my friends.
Yeah,
my friend's married.
Just other people in your gender, because I think a lot of women do come to church and they're like, wow, like, if I meet a guy in church, then like he's gonna be trustworthy and he's gonna be wholesome and he's not gonna try to have sex with me, and that's not always true, and it is unfortunate. But guess what? Church is full of broken people. It is no exception. Yes, you would like to think that your chances of meeting a godly man are higher in a church than they are at Starbucks or at your job. I really hope so than like at the club or something like that. But it's not always the case.
Yeah, you gotta look at their fruit. But that goes back to the point about what you were saying about, if they have guys that, and maybe not friends, but associates, because, whatever. But if they have guys that they trust, and they know guys, be like, hey, what do you think about this guy? And they can be real with them and be like, nah, he ain't it.
But that's why
or not even guys, but because the person who referred me to you was an older mentor for you, who was a woman.
But she was married.
Still, I'm just saying, it doesn't just have to be a guy.
Right. Anyway, so all that to say, the environment.
Someone else vouch for their character. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know I cut her
all
off.
These interruptions. He's excited. It's good. But yeah, just like people, just because someone's in a certain building doesn't mean that their character, is a certain way. So that's why referrals are always going to be the way to go. With that. So for all my ladies out there, don't be discouraged or don't feel deceived if you meet a guy at church and he is the complete opposite of a church boy or somebody who loves God. You still need to kind of vet him well, and get, referrals and all those different things. But also keep in mind too, like, one thing that I learned through me and Tim's dating process was like, guys have insecurities as well, even if they are 37 years old or 40 years old, and even sometimes even more so if they're older, because chances are, if they're older, they're divorced, they've gotten their hearts broken, maybe they have children that they're very protective over their kids. They don't just want, someone to come in and out of their children's lives. So you do need to, sometimes they need time. Guys need time, but they're not going to, ask you out on a date the very first time you guys have a great conversation or something like that.
Yeah, it's hard to talk to y'all.
Yeah, and girls can be very intimidating, you know, and that was my story. So, you know, and that's why the referrals help as well, because they can give a guy confidence, because the guy doesn't want to be rejected and doesn't want to ask a girl out if he's not sure she's going to say yes. So that's why, like, your friends saying, like, oh, yeah, like, that girl, she's, like, really into you, or, like, you should ask her out. Like, that's going to help with him. So that's another reason you need to use the referral pathway, because it works. It works. When people work it the right way, it works every single time. But yeah, and then also to your point about, she said something about, like, college boys. A lot of women, this kind of goes back to the video we did a couple weeks ago about time, or about age.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say be open.
No, not the college boy.
Okay, first of all, I'm not saying you should talk to a college boy, but
you just brought that out. I'm just saying, let's be clear.
She mentioned
Let's
it.
be clear. No, she's 37.
Okay, no, you don't need to be dating someone who's in college if you're 37 years old. But
if they 30,
yes, but I do think
29.
that they're if you find yourself frustrated and you're like, I've been waiting so long, and like if you've been, you know, like it's been 6 months, it's been a year, and I have still not have gotten a date and still haven't found somebody to just even go on a date on. I'm not even talking about get a whole boyfriend or get engaged, but just go on a date. I think that you can always reevaluate your standards and reevaluate, you know, what you're looking for. Yeah, so of course don't rob the cradle or do anything illegal, but I think that you know, the older you get, it seems to be the less age matters and the age gap matters. You know, when you're 37, you absolutely can marry somebody who's 32 or 33, and you know, it doesn't really matter as much as if you were 27 dating a 22-year-old. That's a little bit too much of a gap. But yeah, always evaluate your standards, because I know for us as women, we can be very, very strict on our standards and on our lists and things like that, but you want to make sure that the Holy Spirit is leading you, not your list. Yeah, and then the last thing, sorry, this is a jam-packed answer. Last thing I would say is make sure that you're surrounding yourself with community, of course, and like other people who are waiting like you are, because and that can be harder and harder the older you are, because of course the older you are, the less single people are in your age group. But I would say, you know, again, challenge yourself. Maybe you do need to have some friends who are younger, who are also waiting, or you'd have some friends who are older, perhaps they're widowed or divorced, and then they also want to be remarried, so that you don't feel as alone. Because a lot of times if you're waiting, you know, if you're waiting without anything to do, and I'm not even talking about just like serving, yes, keep doing those things, work hard at your job, all of that, but also, you know, you want to make sure that you know that you don't feel like you're the only 37-year-old, you know, waiting to be married.
You're not.
And of course you're not, but you need to know that and see it in your, like, you know, in your weekly interactions, and things like that. But
yeah, that's a good point. And just to add on to the community piece, we know plenty of people who were single and then decided to lead a co-ed group, and they left that connect group with a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Serve the community that you are.
A lot of times what happens when we step out to serve others in an area that we're lacking, God a lot of times will bring that. And that happened with us. That's why we started doing a connect group for dating couples when we were dating, because we wanted to find other friends who were dating, because we felt like there was nobody out there. And then we start a group and we find out there's a bunch of people who are just like us. So that sounds easier said than done. That may be something you want to pray about, but you know, just think about starting to do a co-ed group, and maybe, you know, God can bring a male. Yeah, God can show you, hey, this guy, he's not your type, but he can be a great co-host with you, and then who knows who you might meet through that. So that's just a suggestion, but we hope this was encouraging. There's nothing wrong with you. You're beautiful. You're smart, and in God's timing, it'll come.
Slow. It's true.
So this has been another episode of the W Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like this content. Mention something in the comments if you have something to say. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
And let us know if you have any more questions based off this. Keep the conversation going.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys next week on the W Podcast. Bye.